What is going on, people? Welcome back. Johnny here, and we are going to pick up with Gotrik and his crew right where we left off last time. I'd like to say thank you for the views, for all the support, the likes, the comments. I do read all those comments myself, so leave some more, and I'll follow up with you. Regardless, this episode is a fun one. We get a lot of stuff done, finally get some security in place, find some open space around the map, and we take on a new dwarf as well. So this one shall be exciting. We also end up with a little wild man dwarf that gets himself hurt somehow. So pick up with Gotrik. Back at the beginning. The chaos storm still rages, and Hayes is still suffering a bit from his infection. Hence the retrieval of any herbal medicine we can find in order to help keep this dude alive. He's not doing great with it, as can be discovered by looking at the little red symbol next to his face up at the top of the screen there. Animals are still going crazy. The chaos storm has been on for 5.5 days at this point. As soon as we can, Gotrik has to run over there, get Hayes taken care of in terms of tending. Place is a super mess. We did have some cheese fall out of the sky last episode, so it's fortunate to have some extra food about. There's rats eating our corn. There's harvests getting botched. Gotrik's feeling the pain, the chaos corruption. Hayes is, due to the diligence of Gotrik, slowly getting over his infection, but it's going to be a while yet. The poison company shows up, thinks they're going to give Gotrik the business. During that time, Hayes finally does develop an immunity, so we have that to look forward to. And the poison company is a single Skaven, but lo and behold, an eclipse starts and it looks like the chaos storm ends. Due to Gotrik's magical arrow, apparently, I missed some recording there. I'm having a hard time clicking around on this, I'm not going to lie. It's like 2 hours of recording, and then I do a ton of cleanup, so if I miss something, I find it frustrating too, but guarantee it was a magic arrow, and it wasn't that challenging. No, regardless, I'm doing my best, and I will do better as I get more comfortable with this format. So Hayes is up and at him. He can't do healing light, but he certainly can cast a light spell since we're still stuck inside due to the chaos storm. Doesn't look like it. For some reason, the eclipse changes the vibe of the whole outside, and that's a problem. Regardless, Gotrik's going to refuel the light, which we will move into our butcher room, which by the end of this episode will be a sweet cooking room. We had a boom rat explode, cause a fire nearby. We're a little bit worried about the trees. You can see the eclipse has ended at this point because this chaos storm is back in full effect. We force Hayes to get up, start doing something. A troll does self-tame. Our ram burns to death. And a wild woman wanders in. Not that we can see her, but we know she's there. And that's why we will begin mining in that direction by end of episode. Half the trees that we desperately will need are burning down. Visitors show up from the Dwarfs, of all places. They're going to come in and do some trading with us. We're going to risk it in an effort to get out and talk to some people. And we sell them some smoke leaf joints. That's about all we can really do at this point, but a little more silver on hand isn't a bad thing. Now, where to go next? You can hear the fence burning down. I do send them out, make sure we get that fence repaired, because if the whole thing burns, we're going to have to start from scratch. The Skaven that fell nearby dropped a weapon we can smelt, and we're getting a little desperate to get some wood brought in. It's about that time another Ogre trader shows up. The Ogres must be the nearest, most loving allies we have, because they are frequent visitors to us with large, awesome caravans, and it's so sad that we don't have a ton of cash. You can see they have a lot of slaves. We've been working, getting some cash together. Let's see what we can pull off here. Surprise, surprise, we buy a dwarf slayer who's 363 years old, and we sell most everything we can. We even have to break Gotrik's heart and sell some of our gold in the interest of moving things along. He could sell it all and buy more awesome stuff. He's being as greedy as he can. We also buy some medicine, given the fact that the diseases of last episode and the infection completely wiped us out. It's time to put down all the animals. It's sort of a sad day, but they're all down and out. It's a bad situation. The ogres are milling around right outside our door, which makes Gotrik, Hayes, and Brunder a little nervous. One of the ogre slaves apparently gets pretty uppity, and they drop his ass with no problem. They've destroyed his right leg and his left leg, so the fella's not going anywhere for a while. It's at that time that blight strikes. Animals are going crazy. It's actually slave pawns of the ogres that are succumbing to chaos corruption and going crazy. They end up having to kill another one of their slaves while they're here, and Brunder is very thankful for having been rescued. All the people hide inside while the ogres leave. They did leave a bunch of bodies of their own people. They dropped 3 of their slaves while they were here. The ogres themselves being pretty hardy. Brunder, our new guy, spends some time just admiring the gold, feeling the love, knowing he's a perfect fit. Gotrik's capable of casting a spell on his weapon again and brings his pickaxe up to masterwork quality and casts that only a few times a year. He's going to max out his weapon to legendary status. He should give it to Brunder. Brunder's going to take over the brunt of the mining at this point, and that weapon does improve mining speed. Brunder's also a brawler. He will not happily equip a weapon that's ranged. You can see the Chaos Storm finally ends. It was on for about 8 or 9 days, and it was pure brutality. Regardless of that, things are looking up now. We get some bedrooms going for our new guys. Brunder likes to smoke doobers and mine. Gotrik takes down a troll that is down and out due to illness. There's a trader from the Empire of Man. They don't have much money. We do sell them some smoke leaf joints regardless. And it's at this point that the rat, Jerry, succumbs to the plague. Not succumbs. Comes down with, let's say. He doesn't make it, needless to say. Turns out, that rat, without tending. We weren't going to waste any medicine. The way things are going around here, we're going to need all the meds we can get. It is going to become a priority before too long to get some medicine growing. There's a herd of horses nearby, so the goal becomes get all those guys tamed. The horses are awesome. They're fast, great for riding, good pack animals. Gotrik spends some time just admiring some gold. Brunder's checking things out too. Everybody's milling around, just having a decent time. We're actively researching gates so we can make some big walls. And then it's on to something important, finding more open space on the map. Hayes had gone down due to illness and dropped his wizarding staff right next to where he was working on research. He did manage to tame 5 horses, however. And Brunder gets cruising, isn't long. He makes it, finds a large open area that clearly suffered a massive fire problem, but nonetheless, it's more space. He also struck some resources as a part of his effort to find that. He found coal and saltpeter. The horses are already beginning to reproduce, and Brunder decides to get busy on making some proper wealth. All that warpstone up there is going to be warpstone powder and warpstone ore itself, and that's going to be very valuable. So he mines his ass off for days. He's going to bring it all in. Next time the ogres show up, we should be in for a massive bonus. Hopefully they bring some good Dowie slaves. I'm going to let our human friend hang out. This isn't all about dwarves. Despite my natural inclination towards the little fellas. We had to do some hunting. We're having a hard time keeping up on food. Probably we should switch to rice. It just doesn't seem very dwarfy to be growing rice. For some reason, I told Hayes to finish off that dude, and Gotrik would have done a much faster job. He does go over for the assist eventually. Brunder end up with a flail from the Empire that someone had gifted us at one point. We're going to try and take down the big beast. We have all these direct damage spells now. Boom. Success again. This is called hunting, people. You can see we're working on our first line of defense exterior wall here. I guess this would be the second line of defense because it's closer to us, but regardless, we're working on some defensive structures. That's key right now. The way the wealth is increasing due to the mining of the warpstone. There's also some chaos critters. The chaos monsters attack. That's a warhound and a giant fat pig, aka Tuskor. So we take those guys down. We're going to butcher them up because their hides are going to be worth something. Their meat, however, is going to be poisonous. So we're not going to consume their meat. We will leave it out in case some animals want it. Some of our hunting doesn't go quite so well. We end up in a melee bash him out with a troll. Hayes ends up getting clipped by it. Not too bad, though. Unfortunately, we have some meds. Brunder is gung-ho to clear some outside space. He feels like every mountain should look like a dwarf lives in it. So he's going to make it look pretty. We're also going to build a large barn outside. It's at that point, more humans show up to attack. Fortunately, we have this magical capacity. Gotrik tries his best to turn one of them into a golden statue and succeeds again. While the critters fight outside, there's a Tuskor on the loose taking out deer. And it is what it is. We have some human problems to deal with. But that new golden statue is going to be awesome. That's going to be a massive amount of additional gold. The pawns decide they're going to have to charge in here. Gotrik really gets peppered with arrows. Fortunately, his armor's soaking up a fair bit of it. Red decides to flee. The animal, Boomalope, that one of the guys is riding, smashes down part of the gate. Of course, that's 25 wood to rebuild versus a gate section, which would have been 1. The Tuskor, for some reason, is on a rampage, killing deer still. They do chase down that dude and take him out. Unfortunately, he's left 13 medicine. That's fantastic. Well done, sir. They didn't actually kill him, but they're not going to capture him. They capture the golden transmutated pawn. Gotrik rebuilds the door. There's all manner of wealth laying about here. There's also all manner of carcass laying around. We're going to have to get those put somewhere sensible. At some point, we'll come up with a proper solution for them. It's definitely going to involve explosions or fire. I can tell you that. I'll make a Dowie fire gun and a cave for carcasses and deal with them that way. While Hayes is out, riding his horse around, some evil humans show up, content on our demise. Maybe intent is the right word there. Anyways, the magic is going to make quick work of these guys. We can do final trains again, which... Oh, we upgraded the spell to the top level so we can recast it. We're going to attempt another round of turning someone into a statue. It does fail this time. However, it does amount a fair bit of physical damage. But in the meantime, Hayes has upgraded his magic abilities and gained a new spell as well. He has a nice new direct damage spell. Despite our best efforts, the magic isn't taking these guys down, where Gotrik and crew have no choice but to charge in, take them down the old-fashioned way. The benefit of taking all these guys down is that they do leave medicine once in a while. You can see the final wall is in progress out there. There's going to be a big gate, some traps, and a nice structure to keep these schmucks at bay. There is a wizard downed out there, but the rest of that wizard's stats are subpar. Given that, we're not going to try to acquire that person and have them join us. Brunder is well injured, given that he likes to be naked because he's a slayer. So he is getting tended to keep these people in decent health. An ogre comes over to do some trading again. And we have pulled in all the warpstone. We have a massive amount of wealth. Sadly, it's not a full ogre trader. It's just one dude. We're going to sell him what we can. It doesn't have anything we care to purchase. It's time Brunder got busy. binding the other open section nearby, so we're going to get on top of that too. Gotrik works on the wall. He's a construction beast. Brender finds more coal. That'll be useful because it can be used in our forge. It can be used in our lights. It can be used in random other stuff we're going to build along the way here as we get going on it. But it's not too long before Brender finds a large open area. Look at that. This one is not succumbed to trees. There's buildings we can claim or deconstruct. It's a good thing we didn't start mining this way to make our dwarven hold. We know there's more open area around. We just have to find it all. We finished figuring out how to make properly large dwarven gates. And the nearby ambrosia is ready to go as well. Another rainy thunderstorm. I feel like I probably chose a biome that was way warmer than what I wanted, but here we are. I won't really get to take advantage of the dwarves' ability to make steam pipe stuff. We are going to try and tame the wild dwarf that's nearby, but we don't have anybody capable of doing it yet, so we're going to have Hayes practice on wild animals. There's another pawn nearby that is a wild dwarf. It's a female. She is suffering from heat stroke. She's also not a very good pawn, whereas the male that's nearby is a pretty good pawn. Thus far, we have an all-male colony. So the gate is finished, and it's time to work on security walls and traps. We're going to do the traps out of wood, for whatever that's worth. A bulk goods trader shows up at that point, and everybody's excited because there's so much cash on hand. They do have some crazy critters with them. Those aren't for sale. End up buying wood and medicine as much as they can. Getting rid of odds and ends. They had smoke leaf joints and warpstone powder. It's good to get rid of the warpstone powder as much and as fast as you can. You can still see we have a little bit of it in storage, but anybody has a mental break and starts using that stuff, that is a drug not to be trifled with and will mess up your day. Brender's having a meal. We've been constantly short on food this episode, hence this hunting attempt, which actually goes pretty well. Once in a while the magic really shines, and once in a while the magic really disappoints. Any of these critters that are inside of our area are going to be the first to fall. We don't need our horses getting taken out. At some point, we're going to have to start a massive growing operation here if we're going to keep horses. I'd like to grow medicine, hay grass, God knows, a handful of other things that are going to be useful. It'd be nice to have cotton plants going, a fair amount of food so we can stop having these food issues. Hayes, at that point, can cast his healing spell again, and he takes care of the stab scar he acquired not too long ago. He's on top of that. There's a horse in Gotrik's room again, which seems to happen every night. I don't like that mod so much. Ride a horse to bed, leave it in your bedroom. There's got to be a way around that. More hunting sees the demise of a magic salamander critter. And of course, foggy rain at night. W is trapped inside our compound area with no way to get out. There are some mad donkeys outside, so we've resisted the urge to go out there. These were being tamed by Hayes. They didn't go mad due to his efforts as far as I'm aware, but nonetheless they're there and rampaging around outside of our fancy new gate. W steps on a few traps, and I hate to say it, but we're not going to try and bring her back. The wild people are really stupid about the traps. Brender really likes the Beastman drum, so he's banging away on that. We're going to tame all these pigs, and then we're going to slaughter them. Purpose of taming them to get Hayes some practice with the animal skills. He needs to be level 7. He's not terribly far off from being able to tame a human. A magical delivery sees us getting a bunch of hops. We don't really have the capacity at the moment to do anything with that, but perhaps we could make some barrels, but we'd also have to do some research into beer brewing, assuming dwarfs don't start with that. And the trap corridor is done. We got some fences to keep the critters in. We've found an ancient elven bolt thrower, eagle claw, eagle talon, whatever the hell they used to call that thing. 8th edition Warhammer. And we take it apart for components. Components are always going to be useful, especially when we start building armor and stuff. Some of the workbenches, but we're also succumbing to food poisoning quite a bit here. It's got to be Gotrik's fault. He's doing the cooking, but we've tamed wild boars a few times now. And we've slaughtered wild boars a few times now, so we do have a proper cook table at this point as well. It seemed like the right move. Brunder's finishing up the last of the mining. Probably where the carcass piles will end up. At some point, some section that we're now occupying will be a massive living area, or security area. Catterson here steps on traps as well, and since we've been trying to tame this guy, we've decided we're going to rescue him. He didn't suffer any permanent injuries, so we bring him inside. Still waiting on that rollout from humanoid alien races that's going to fix the fact that the dwarfs look real puny right now. Brunder, even with his high dwarven constitution, comes down with food poisoning. We do give a meal from the same stack to our little visitor, but he doesn't get sick. Everybody's having a decent night then, on the 12th of August, 2520. And we're getting close to wrapping this one up. Again, please leave me a comment. I do read them all. I do respond. Leave me some likes. We're going to get this guy healed up. I don't know we're going to be able to tame him anytime soon, but we're going to do our best to make that happen. Of course, the traps are going to be a constant issue to keep rebuilding. We're going to have to bring in a fair amount of wood. Gotrik's running around riding a horse, which no dwarf Warhammer would have ever really done, but there you go. That's it. Next time, people. I love you all. See ya.